So in this series, we had been discussing about karma. We have defined in different dimensions the karma, dimension of the ways of acting, the dimension of the result of what we have done. And today, I'm going to talk about a little bit different in the form of good and bad, but I'll try to connect here with karma, vikarma, and akarma. That's why I'm keeping the same slide here. There are two types, good or bad. People say, and it has been known also, that if you're doing a good karma, the result will be good. And if you do a bad karma, the result will be bad. Fair enough. But the biggest question right now is how we define good and how we define bad. It may be possible that something which is good for someone may be bad for someone else. And in a vice versa mode also, something bad for someone may be good for someone else. Then on which basis we measure what is good, what is bad? Two people may have different bases. One person has different experience, his upbringing is different, his whole surrounding is different, whereas someone else may have a very different surroundings and all the upbringings. And then it may be possible that something which is good for one person in this side may have a different perspective from the other side. Let me take a very simple example. Suppose you are in a market. May not be possible for Singapore, but let's take, say, a developing country, say India. And you saw, and it's a metropolitan city, suppose, and you saw that there is a boy who is a boy maybe of 7, 8 to 10 years old, and he is just standing near a shop, a food shop. And you are observing that boy. But before you could understand, that boy suddenly picks up something from the stall and starts running. That means he was a thief and he started running. People around him saw this and tried to grab him. They ran after this boy. After few meters, maybe 100, 200 meters, that boy was caught. And people started beating him up. That this is a thief, don't know what he has kept with him. And then people throw their anger on him. And then suddenly you go there near to that boy and try to understand what has happened. Why this boy was running, what he has taken from the shop. And you realize from his hand that he has taken maybe some chapati or some bread. And then you asked him, what happened? Why did you steal this? This is a bad thing. And then he started crying and he said that I have a mother who is bedridden. I have a small baby sister who is just 1 year old. My father is no more there. My mother is the only earner. And since last 3 days, we have not eaten anything. I had been trying to get something, but I could not get anything. And now when I saw so many people eating here, I thought now I cannot stop myself. Let me take it. I had asked, but no one gave me. I thought to pick it up and ran away. Okay, now this is the other shade of this story. You as a you, what will happen to you? Initially, probably like others, when you see this boy, when he started running, you probably would think, oh, what kind of boy this is? No one has taught him. He's stealing. Such a bad boy. Maybe if your family member or your son or daughter is standing side by you, you will probably tell him or her, see what this boy is. He's a thief. He's stealing. This is a bad thing. But maybe once you hear his story, your whole feeling may change. And that's the impact of circumstances. So the difference here, what I want to share here is, when we did not have information, we have our own perspective, seeing, observing things, whatever is happening around us based on our own experience, based on our own situation, condition, lifestyle, whatever we have seen, we take a judgment and decide what is good, what is bad. But when we get more information, and information from different side, different angle, from different perspective, from different basis, probably our definition of good and bad, the same good might get changed, or the same bad can get changed. And that's what happened here in this example. Then how do we define what is good and what is bad? For that boy, stealing that bread was the best part for him, and he did whatever he could as the best for himself and for his family, being just 10-year-old. And for us, being 30, 40-year-old, it's a bad thing. How do we judge? How do we judge? So the definition of good and bad karma is a relative terminology. If we measure this on the basis of our sense individuality, for me, this is good. For you, this is good. Okay, fine. For you, this is good. For me, this is bad. We will never come to a consensus. Never. And that's the problem of human being. We understand the definition of karma on the basis of way of action, karma, vikarma, akarma. We understand the definition of karma on the basis of results, that immediate result, accumulated result, and destiny. But when we try to understand the definition of karma on good and bad, we try to put our own understanding, our own intellectual understanding, which may not reflect the correct, the truth, the universal truth in front of us. And here the problem is, and here the real problem for every one of us is. We take our own judgment for good and bad, and we believe that this I have done, and this is good, so I should get a good result out of it. But you never know that what you did as a good probably was bad for multiple people, if you see it from different perspective. But it is almost impossible for any human being to identify the real truth, the real good or real bad. So in that sense, if I say there is nothing good or bad in this world, it's all a relative terminology, then what left? There is no good karma, there is no bad karma. It's just for the sake of definition, to console people, and that's it. In a way, the reality is the day, the time we are connected to the truth. Truth doesn't mean that somebody has said something, some event has happened, and you had said the truth in front of that person. I'm not talking about that truth. I'm talking about some of the universal truths. Like one simple example is, all of us are soul. This is a universal truth. This is one such example. So the time we are connected to these types of universal truths, Satya, which never changes, irrespective of any time, irrespective of any circumstances, that's the truth. If it is truth, it will not change. If it has changed, that means that is not truth. It has changed because of certain circumstances or this or that or whatever it is. Truth means which never changes. It's as it is. So if we are connected to those truths, we will always be in the right direction. We will always be in the right direction. It doesn't matter whether somebody says good or somebody says bad. The judgment quality will be very different because you are connected to that universal law of truth. And once any single simple person is connected to that truth of the life and then performs the karma, it would always be in the right direction, and the result of that will also come in a known form. Actually, we don't know some of the results of what we have been doing is because we are not connected to the truth. We have been judgmental on our own intellect basis, on our own understanding basis, and that basis is not connected to the truth. The akarma, the vikarma, basically the vikarma is the activity which enables us to perform in such a way that we can be eligible to become. We can be eligible to become, to be connected to that truth. And once we are connected to that truth, then we will be able to perform our karma. So there is no good, there is no bad. There is nothing good, there is nothing bad karma. All what you do, that is your own choice. And at a time when you did it, whether good or bad, whatever you consider it, you did it, and that's it. For someone, it may be good. For someone else, it may be bad, because the perspective to see it is different. So overall, when we talk about good karma or bad karma, it's just to say, it's just to console someone. Performing karma itself is a bound. Performing any type of karma itself is the bound for our death and birth. And that's what we have learned in our previous discussion. So the ultimate aim actually has to be, for each one of us, is to bring ourselves at a stage where it doesn't matter whether we do something or we don't. That means the state of a karma. That means whatever we perform, it is not counted as the karma itself. And the result doesn't come to impact us the way it impacts us in our normal situation. So the philosophy of karma, to understand it completely just on the basis of our mind, just on the basis of intellect, is not possible for anyone. For anyone, we have to be connected to the real truth. And this is called the knowledge. And connecting to the knowledge, connected to the truth, is nothing but eradication of the ignorance, which is only possible under the guidance of the master. And that's it. Thank you very much for listening today.